Hey everyone, Sam here, otherwise known as FPL Pricey, and in today's video I'll be running through my transfer plans with 3 free transfers ready to use ahead of Game Week 19. Welcome back everyone to another video. Now today we'll be running through my transfer plans ahead of Game Week 19, but first let's take a quick look back at my Game Week 18 performance so far. We've still got a couple of matches yet to play on the Sunday. A lot of managers are actually already all out because there's not a lot of high-owned players going into the Sunday, but I've still got Lacroix yet to go. I'm on a very small green arrow. I haven't really moved rank much at all in the last 3 or 4 game weeks. It's been either a 10k red or a 10k green here or there. So I feel like I'm in purgatory a little bit with FPL at the moment. I really want to kick on, but I'm not in a bad position and I'm not losing too much ground either. Hopefully, Lacroix does something pretty special for me today against Spurs, but fingers crossed on that one for now. And so far, a small, very small green arrow with 42 points up to 269k. Obviously, I've got 3 free transfers left to use ahead of Game Week 19, 0.3 in the bank. So not much wiggle room, but there are downgrades that I can make to maybe make some money up. Having a quick look at my performance so far, my 2 transfers in were Ekitike and Cunha. I am very relieved that Thiago didn't massively punish me. Obviously, he picked up the assist, a little bit unlucky not to get something else from that game, but Ekitike at least matched him. And then, of course, Cunha came in for Bruno Fernandes. Bruno got nothing because he was injured, so I'm 2 points up on that. But really a bit of a disappointing performance from Cunha. I'm hopeful, though, that because he didn't do too much against Newcastle, it might put off a few managers from buying him. The transfers in suggest that that is incorrect and a lot of people are buying him anyway. But with good fixtures to come, I'm still pretty happy to own him for Wolves at home, followed by Leeds and Burnley. So fingers crossed that that transfer does pay dividends over the next few game weeks. Same with Ekitike as well. Not the best performance, at least he got an assist. And then, of course, we've got good fixtures yet to come as well. And he should be locked in for pretty good minutes. Elsewhere, my captain blanked Haaland. Obviously, most people did captain him. And there weren't too many other captains out there that were mass captained who did really well. Saka in my 11, I suppose, was captained by a few people. 7 points from him. But again, not a big explosive double-digit return. And Foden blanked for the second game in a row as well. So a little bit frustrating from him, but I think for what it's worth, he's been unlucky in both of the last 2 games not to pick up an assist in game week 17 because Haaland's shot was saved and then he scored the rebound from a Foden assist. So that would have been points. And then Foden had a shot saved very well in game week 18 as well. So I think in another universe, we wouldn't even be worried about him. And I think he'll just tick along quite nicely as well. So I'm not too worried about him. Semenyo probably will be a sell for me soon because, well, he probably will be a sell for Bournemouth soon as well. So I don't know where he's going to go. It looks likely to be Man City. I've already got triple Man City, so I don't really want to have 4 Man City players for too long anyway, because 1, Semenyo, his minutes are going to go downhill pretty quickly, you would think. And then 2, it would block me from any other transfers. So Semenyo, even if he stayed at Bournemouth, is probably a sell pretty soon. But since I brought him in, it's back-to-back goals from him, so very happy with his performance, although it did rule out the clean sheet for Brentford and Kelleher in goal, which would have been better for me points-wise or effective points-wise because Kelleher is such a differential, whereas Semenyo is quite well-owned. But if Bournemouth were going to score, I'm grateful that at least it was a player that I have in my starting 11. Elsewhere, I had Anderson and O'Reilly in my backline, both picked up yellow cards, a little bit frustrating there, but at least Anderson kept the clean sheet. It was initially a 4-4-2 with Elliot Anderson on my bench and Timber in the starting 11. He was injured and didn't even make the matchday squad, so going to have to keep an eye out on whether we will get any news on him moving forwards. I think the early rumours are that it was basically just a full rest and he should be okay for Villa, but we don't have anything concrete just yet. So fingers crossed on that one. And I do have plans in place for if he is injured out going into game week 19, which we'll run through in a bit. Elliot Anderson came off my bench with 3 points, picked up DEFCON, but did pick up a yellow card. That's his 4th of the season. He's got 1 more game week to survive before the threshold raises up to 10 yellow cards before getting a suspension. So fingers crossed he doesn't pick up one against Everton. But I've mapped ahead. Game week 20, he's currently on my bench anyway. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So that pretty much sums up my Game Week 18 performance so far. Hopefully, Lacroix does the business today and I get a slightly bigger green arrow. But not massive progress has been made this week, but I do have 3 free transfers ready to use in Game Week 19. Okay, so one big bit of news we got from Game Week 18 is that Gabriel was back in the matchday squad for Arsenal against Brighton and actually got a few minutes off the bench, about 20 at the end of the game. So given that he was one of the most important players and most prolific FPL picks before his injury, I think it makes a lot of sense that most of us are going to want to have a plan to get back to him pretty quickly now he's fit and available again. I suppose the question for me is, 1, what would my route back to him be? And 2, am I desperate to get there immediately or can it wait just a few more weeks? In terms of my routes back to him, I've got 3 players that I can probably find a way to get to Gabriel from. Timber is easy because I've got the money to do so. So in one free transfer, I can switch the Arsenal defenders around. I don't really want to sell Timber at all, to be honest. His XGI per 90 is fantastic. I feel like he owes me a goal a little bit at some point because he's been flirting with the idea of scoring big in the last few game weeks, just hasn't quite done it. And it would fill me with quite a lot of regret to get rid of him before an attacking return and a big haul from him. And I think he is right on the cusp of doing so. So I don't want to sell him. But if he's injured, if he is out of Aston Villa and maybe it's a longer term injury, then this is a move that I can quite easily do. But unless he's injured, I'm probably not going to do it. Lacroix and O'Reilly are a little bit cheaper, so I can't do it in one free transfer. I'd need to downgrade a position elsewhere. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I could, with 2 free transfers, get up to Gabriel from either of them. I don't think now is the time, to be honest. Looking at the fixtures that they've both got in Game Week 19, Fulham at home for Crystal Palace is fine. I mean, Fulham are no pushovers by any means, but it's not a bad fixture. Lacroix will likely pick up DEFCON in that game. I don't think it's bad at all to hold on to Lacroix for that one. And O'Reilly away at Sunderland. Sunderland have been great. A really good side, very impressive in the Premier League this year. But it's not a fixture that screams loads of goals for Sunderland, and O'Reilly's really, really going to struggle. So I don't think I need to urgently sell him either, as frustrating as he's been in the last few game weeks. And his underlying attacking data is actually still quite good. So maybe there's still the chance of getting an attacking return out of him. 0.23 XGI per 90 is very strong for a defender after all. After this week, though, both of them run into slightly more difficult fixtures. You've got Newcastle away, Aston Villa at home, Sunderland away for Crystal Palace. For Man City, it's Chelsea at home, Brighton at home, Man United away. So I think at some point in the next few game weeks, one of them could be a sell for Gabriel. And then I could go back to double Arsenal defence, which I was on initially, have Gabriel alongside Timber. And I think that could be really powerful. But I don't think I need to do that right away, given that Arsenal's next few fixtures aren't easy on paper. They are the best defence in the league, so they can keep clean sheets against anyone. And if you looked at the percentage odds of a clean sheet in any of the next 3, they'd probably be north of 30% in all of these games. But Aston Villa are on fire right now. Bournemouth are not a bad attack by any means, and it's away from home. And Liverpool, of course, are still a great attack. So I mean, they could keep a couple of clean sheets in those fixtures, but they're less likely than some of the better fixtures. And by the time we get past Liverpool, Arsenal run into a much better run of fixtures. And at that point, I think Gabriel is going to be an immediate purchase. It's just whether or not I want to drag that transfer forward a couple of weeks. I don't feel any urgent rush to do it right now, even if I miss a price rise or 2 over the next few days. Mainly because I'm not fully sold that he goes straight back into the starting 11 against Aston Villa. It's been not a long-term layoff, but a long enough layoff that I'd be a little bit concerned about him building match fitness back up a little bit first. And given the tight turnaround for all of these next 3 games, I wonder how many of them he actually starts. I wouldn't be shocked to see him start at least one of them in the next 3, but I don't know if he's going to end up starting all 3. And just the fact that I'm doubting that probably is enough to put me off, given that the fixtures are quite difficult in the first place. So I'm going to need a plan to get back to him pretty soon. Maybe even by next game week, it becomes obvious that I'm just going to need to get him. But right now, I think I'm willing to just put a pin in it and wait, ideally, for the Nottingham Forest game. But I will have plans in place, break glass in case of emergency, to bring him in sooner, because he is an incredibly good FPL pick when he is playing 90 minutes a match, no matter what the fixtures are. So I'm open to buying him much sooner, but right now I think I'm probably going to hold off until we get past this little fixture crunch, given that the defenders that I've got, as long as Timber's fit anyway, probably will do okay for me over the next few weeks anyway. Okay, so having owned Semenyo for a couple of game weeks now against Burnley and against Brentford, obviously he's returned in both of them, so very happy to have picked him up a couple of game weeks ago. But the plan was always to get rid of him pretty quickly in game week 19 at the latest, given that Bournemouth's fixtures don't look all that special from now on. Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Spurs, then Brighton. And then also on top of that, Semenyo is likely not going to be a Bournemouth player for much longer anyway. It looks likely at time of recording he's going to be going to Man City. It could be anywhere. But if that's the case, then one, his minutes are going to become a lot less reliable straight away. He probably won't go straight into the starting 11 either. And of course, I've already got triple Man City. So I don't want to have 4 because then that would lock me out of making any other moves until I get rid of one. So Semenyo is a sell for me. The question for me is whether or not I want to go ahead with my initial plan of getting rid of him this week, or can I maybe just roll the transfer here at least and maybe wait another week to pick up someone else. So Chelsea away from home, not a great fixture, but we've already seen that Chelsea are still susceptible to those pacey counterattacks. They play a fairly high line. Bournemouth, of course, play a very quick transition, very high press system. Semenyo getting in behind the Chelsea high line is something that I can picture. So I don't know if it's an immediate sell this week. Definitely ahead of Arsenal. Like if he's even a Bournemouth player at that point, who knows? But at some point very soon, he will be a sell. I just wonder if I could hold on to him for another game week if I'm not convinced of who I'm going to be buying right now. The initial option and the initial penciled transfer in for this game week was always Szoboszlai. He still ticks all of the boxes. Nothing's really changed here. There's just maybe a gut feeling that maybe it's not the right move for me. 0.28 XGI per 90 is not bad. It's nothing special, but it's not bad. He's playing for a good attack, Liverpool, of course, and getting 90 minutes a match. He's just served his 5 yellow card suspension, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And he will be on penalties with Isak out for quite a while, Salah at the African Cup of Nations as well, with good fixtures coming. So Leeds, Fulham, Arsenal's not great, but then Burnley at home after that as well. So it's a good batch of fixtures as a pack of 4. So it's still a good transfer in. And he's cheap enough that it would allow me to use the extra money saved from this move to upgrade my defenders in the next couple of game weeks straight up to Gabriel, as we've just mentioned. So it does tick all of the boxes, really. And it would be getting an extra penalty taker in Szoboszlai. Although, to be fair, Semenyo, at least at time of recording, we think he's the penalty taker. But I doubt that will be the case if he does go to Man City. So Szoboszlai is still probably the plan. But there's just something in my gut telling me that it's not a massively exciting pick. He's got upside, but he's not really been showing it all that often this season. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's a must-buy, and I'm desperate to own him, put it that way. Another option, if I did want to make a move this week, was Gordon at Newcastle. Great underlying attacking data, but he's been an incredibly frustrating player to watch this season. Newcastle fans, some of them at least, are suggesting that he should be taken out of the starting 11. And given the tight turnaround over the next few game weeks, I would not be surprised to see him benched in any of these fixtures. It would be a nightmare if it was against Burnley away from home. And considering he's just played 90, maybe it does indicate that Howe knew that he probably wasn't going to start against Burnley. So he just played the full 90 for that one. So I do have worries about that. And because of that, I'm probably going to rule out Gordon. And he's not exactly cheap enough that it gives me loads more money to make upgrades elsewhere. I'd still need to downgrade someone else in the next few game weeks to be able to afford Gabriel for Lacroix or O'Reilly, as I mentioned. So he doesn't really solve all that many problems for me. And if anything, gives me another problem where every week I'll be looking at that Newcastle team sheet and wondering, is this the week where he gets benched or brought off early, even if he does start? So probably not Anthony Gordon for me. So if I make a move this week, it probably is Szoboszlai, saves me the money, gets me a penalty taker, good fixtures to come, and he should be locked in for 90 minutes. But there is just, as I'm sure you can tell, just something in my gut telling me it's not an exciting pick. It's not something that I'm excited to do. And I just wonder if maybe just holding on to Semenyo for one more game week help me to roll to 4 free transfers, give me more flexibility ahead of game week 20. Maybe that's the path. And given that it's Chelsea away from home, on paper, it's not a great fixture, but I still back him to do okay in that game. So I wonder if maybe rolling the transfer is a wise thing to do. And I'll show you now what my plans would be if I did roll that transfer instead of making the Szoboszlai move. Okay, so here we are on Solio, which is an excellent planning tool. I think they're free for the rest of December at the moment, so do go check them out. The link is in the description below. Just to map out my future moves. Now, option number 1 was always on the cards. It is to make the 1 free transfer out of my 3 and to move Semenyo out for Szoboszlai. Obviously, this looks really strong. Szoboszlai comes in at home to Leeds, gives me double Liverpool attack. And the rest of my team, as long as Timber is fit and available, I think it looks pretty strong. I mean, Kelleher is arguably my weak point, but he's at home to Spurs. Outside of that, the defence holds up pretty well. The midfield, Anderson, maybe a weak point, but at home to Everton, you'd imagine he gets DEFCON. Maybe at some point he's got to get an attacking return, surely. So maybe this is the week. And then up top, you've got Ekitike with Haaland as well. So pretty happy with all of that. Wouldn't need to worry. But like I said, Szoboszlai in this position, I like it at the value. He's a penalty taker. Maybe I should just not overthink this one. Let me know in the comments below if you think that this is the correct path. But if I did roll the transfer this week, Semenyo's there instead. Obviously, it's a bit of a drop-off in the expected points. 3.7 plays, what was it, 5.6? Something like that? Yeah. So it's a 2-point gap. But away at Chelsea, I kind of back that for Semenyo to be an okay fixture. I don't think it's a terrible one. Could even start Anderson away at Crystal Palace if I wanted to. But I think I'd start Semenyo. But by saving the transfer, it helps him roll up to 4. Again, given that Timber's fit, of course. Rolls up to 4 in game week 20. And then just using 1 free transfer, I can go straight to Morgan Rogers, who I'm pretty bullish on at the moment. And if you look at Aston Villa's fixtures, not just short term, but very, very long term. If I go over to the live fantasy Premier League site, if I go to Rodgers quickly, after Arsenal is out of the way, obviously don't want to be buying him for this game week. So game week 19 off the cards, I'd need to roll it this week. After that, though, we're going into Nottingham Forest, Palace, Everton, Newcastle away is not great, but it's okay. Brentford at home, Bournemouth away, not a fixture I'm scared about, even though it's red on the ticker. And then as you can see, all the way through, like literally all the way through until game week 36, there's not a fixture I'm really scared of in there. Even Chelsea at home, I'm fine with. We've just seen what Aston Villa are capable of against Chelsea away from home, let alone at home. I'd want to probably hold on to him all the way through to game week 36. And then they play Liverpool and Man City back to back to finish the season. So he's a very, very long-term hold after this game week is out of the way. So I just wonder if rather than getting Szoboszlai in that position and then wondering who I'm selling to get to Rodgers eventually, do I just wait a week, not bother with Szoboszlai, especially considering I've got Ekitike anyway, so I've got some Liverpool coverage. Do I just wait a week, go for Rodgers, and then hold on to him for the rest of the season pretty much? Does that make more sense? Now, obviously, Rodgers isn't on penalties. The underlying data isn't great either, but there's just something about him. I just think he's going to keep returning. I really like the player. He's going to get 90 minutes a match. Aston Villa are on fire at the moment. Yeah, I'm very 50-50 between these two paths. Either Szoboszlai straight away or wait a week, roll to 4. And then, of course, other things can happen. We could get injuries. We could get suspensions. So having 4 free transfers ahead of game week 20 could be really powerful. And even if this plan doesn't go ahead perfectly, I've got loads of flexibility and 0.5 in the bank to maneuver if I need to. I suppose if there was a weakness with this strategy is Rodgers isn't that cheap. So with only 0.5 million in the bank, I don't have a clear route to get to Gabriel unless I'm selling Timber. So I need to downgrade someone else at some point soon to be able to afford the Arsenal double up defensively with Timber alongside Gabriel, because I still need a bit more money to upgrade either O'Reilly or Lacroix to be able to afford Gabriel. So I don't know where that money would come from, to be honest. Maybe it's from Cunha in a few game weeks' time, because he's got a few good game weeks, but after Burnley, it's Man City at home, then Arsenal away. So maybe by game week 22, which is of course the fixture for Arsenal, that the fixture list does turn much better. Nottingham Forest away. After that, I would definitely want Arsenal defensive coverage, or more Arsenal defensive coverage. Maybe I'll wait for this week, game week 22, downgrade Cunha, and then upgrade O'Reilly or Lacroix at that point. So maybe I just wait for that, but it does mean that I have to go a few game weeks without Gabriel for sure, unless I really start to mix something else up. And I can't really see where else I'm going to save the money. So out of those two, I think I prefer rolling right now. I think when you can roll, it's always sensible to try to do so, especially at this time of the year where not many people have loads of free transfers spare. It could be quite powerful to have 4 and then go straight to Rodgers next week. Szoboszlai, great on the data. The models love him. On penalties, 90 minutes, good fixtures. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Let me know in the comments what you think. And of course, I've got a route here. If I do go for Szoboszlai, I can get Gabriel for O'Reilly or Lacroix straight away if I wanted to do so. And yeah, again, double Arsenal defense is always going to be powerful. So that's an option as well. Either way, I'm centering around the same core of players. I want maybe another Liverpool attacking option, Szoboszlai possibly, but I do want Rodgers soon. Everton defense is another team that I'm looking at targeting fairly soon as well. It'd be good to have some money in the bank for that. Obviously, Arsenal defense with Gabriel as well would be powerful. And by the time we get to game week 22, and then maybe onwards, game week 24 is when Chelsea's fixtures really get good. I think, yeah, West Ham at home that week. Before that, Crystal Palace away. Yeah, so by game week 24 at the latest, I want a couple more Chelsea players. But for the time being, I think it all centres around that midfield spot. Do I want Szoboszlai there? Do I want to wait a week and go for Rodgers? Let me know in the comments if I've missed anyone. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's video, I'd massively appreciate it if you could leave a like, hit subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with you tomorrow as we run through my final team selection ahead of game week 19. Hopefully, I've come to a decision on whether or not I prefer Rodgers in a week or Szoboszlai much more immediately by then.